Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am PANCZASU and welcome back to Roving Clans playthrough / tutorial. There are a lot of things that we need to do today, and there are also a lot of things I need to talk about, so let's get right on it. First things first, if I recall correctly, it has been a few days, but I still recall correctly that there were voters and we had a battle, if I'm not mistaken, and I did lose some army over in Somero. Right now it is also safe to assume that the voters are indeed planning to capture this region for their own. Why do I say this, despite the fact that there are so many other regions around the voters' territory? Well, there's just one thing. Whenever you want to settle in a region, it is always safest to assume that somebody else is going to try to beat you to it. And as such, I will have to assume that the voters do indeed plan to settle in this region instead of settling in any of those other regions, despite the fact that it would be probably better for them to settle in one of those two regions because they have a nice little balance between, as you can see, food and science, which is exactly what the voters lack and need. Industry is also useful, but not as useful, of course, for them. Now, for me, the same deal applies, however I also want to be close to them and close to where I started. But I do have one thing that can help me with securing this region. Of course, I will need some forces. There are a lot of neutral units around, and the voters have already proven that they can and will attack me if they sense weakness. So in order to move in over here and secure this region for myself, the primary thing I need is an army. Now, I can now also move on to the comments in the last video, and one of those in particular was really interesting because it was a very long line of text to which I partially already replied. However, some things I'm going to cover in a video cast. The first things first is the dervish. Now, I'm not sure why, but apparently some of you got the idea that I underestimate those guys. No, I do not, trust me. I have used them in all multiplayer and they were very effective, really very effective. However, when I started this playthrough, I was beginning to use them. I already had a lot of respect for those units because they are really powerful with the hit and run tactics, with the charge and whatnot. However, now I have changed my idea over how I want this unit to be set up. This setup I have right here is still okay against some types of enemies. However, against the types of enemies like, for instance, Marines, it is indeed not the best idea, and I have to admit that the person that placed the comment was right, that I should indeed go for the combination of long spear. And I say combination because it also involves not having any armor. This wasn't actually discussed by this person, but I personally think that if you're going for the long spear approach with no shield, you also have to resent for the armor. Because the main reason why I personally like the reason why you can have the long spear attached to your unit is because it also increases your initiative. And every ammo you have lowers your initiative. And the thing that is very annoying when fighting those Marines is that they can sometimes have a bigger initiative than you do, and when that happens, they will fire at you from a distance before you can even move in and charge. Of course, considering the fact that you have an amazing movement speed with the dervish, and the fact that the Marines do not have a lot of range, it is possible that no matter what, even with low initiative, you'll be able to attack before the enemy attacks you. However, what is important is that in the following turns, No, I'm not sure. I don't want to save the changes. However, what is important is that in the following turns, when you are already in close range with the Marines, you want to be able to choose if you want to run back so that you can again strike with a charge ability, or if you want to stay next to the enemy unit and attack it so that the enemy unit has to waste its retaliation and does not be able to attack you. If Marines had a high initiative, they would be able to attack you before you were able to attack them. And range units, even if they are in direct contact with melee units, they would indeed still not provoke a retaliation, which is something very important to consider. Which is why I do like the idea of having extra initiative on Dervish. However, there's also another bit that is very important to this particular build, and that's the fact that without placing any armor on my unit, as you can see, the industry cost of the Dervish is lowered significantly. With the armor, it's 111 industry, which is not a lot, but it is still something. Without the armor, the cost lowers back down to 80, which is the same cost as seats. Did they lower that? Yeah, I think it's seat storage. Let me just make sure that I'm not making a fool of myself. It's the same cost as empowerment. Yep, 80 industry, which is really not a lot. So what I'm going to do is change the dervish design and start making deals around. Now, this dervish is already partially complete, so I might as well let him finish. However, all the dervishes I make after this guy are going to be upgraded in the city of Avnis. Meanwhile, a rough color, as you can see, this guy is also almost completed, so we'll let him finish. But then I do want to create some other dervishes. Now, I will resign from making an empowerment for the time being, because I do have something else I really need to do. After I secure this region more or less and make sure that no voters settle there, what do I want to do? I need to create a city there, right? Yes, that is indeed what I want to do. However, there's also something else I have to keep in mind. Voters are very likely to declare war on me and try to invade my city. And this city would be the most exposed to attack. So what do I want? I want the city to also be very defensible. I want the city to have not only lots of defense, but also to have as much militia as I can gather. And I also want it to have a lot of vision. Do you see where I'm going with this? I think you do. This city is my capital, right? Being my capital, it has access to palace, which gives me extra militia on the city, and it also increases its defense in the rare occasion that the enemy when the enemy does want to besiege me, which never happens, but if they did, it would be important. It will be in the future though, so yeah. Also, additionally, this city already has the high towers structure created, which does increase my vision by a fairly decent amount. So, by having this city in this location, I will be able to not only see the enemy movement, but I would also be able to fight the enemy much better. Also, in any situation where those two cities would fight, both cities would support their armies with militia. This is something that I found hilarious, but it is actually the case. If two cities are right next to each other, but in different regions, and there is a battle taking place between them, between the armies owned by the owners of those two cities, then the cities will also send militia to help in this battle. So, by creating this kind of situation, we can make some hilarious occasions where both armies will have militia on their sides. And I do want this to be the case, because when I eventually try to take over this city, I could maybe need some reinforcements. It depends if the enemy does declare war on me, or if I will be forced to use some mercenaries. Either way, first things first, I do need a dervish. Then I need a Setseke Hole. I probably can't go for a Setseke Hole after I get... potentially even after the single dervish. I will try and risk it. It all depends if I get this dervish to my city safely. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No, because of the very simple reason that there is indeed a Harmonite in the way. However, I have already shown you the trick that allows you to trick the AI and move before the AI moves, so I'll try to use this trick again. And for some reason my mouse really doesn't want to move. Strange. Very strange. Anyway, I think we are about ready. We can proceed with the next 10, so I'll go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, there's also something else I need to talk about, and that is the other bit of the comment of this long wall of text I received in my last video. And, oh boy, I didn't see that coming. I managed to set Setseke Hole on the same turn as I created a dervish. Well, that is unexpected. Apparently I was really quick with that. And there's also Harmonite right here, right now. Well, that's good to know. I'll talk about this command later then, because that was unexpected and that's not entirely optimal, because a Harmonite is pretty good against those dervishes. Because of how much life it has, it also has quite a bit of life and critical as well. It does have low initiative, but it is not the kind of unit that you want to underestimate under any circumstances. Either way, what I'm going to do right now is start moving in. Now, it is not what I intended to do. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. It is not what was my intention initially. I didn't want to move right away. I did want to have a bit more units to back up my march with my city scarab and whatnot. Unfortunately, I thought that I'll not Setseke this quickly. That's it. Apparently you can Setseke really quickly, so that's good to know, but it's also a bit of a problem. Spice's booster has ended, which is good because I already moved my city. As for Avnis, it is working on some units indeed, which is nice. However, I do need to have them as quickly as possible. So let's try and see if I can do this, even at the cost of gaining less population. No. Can I get more population faster? Also, the answer is no. So I'll just focus on the dust part instead, and this should allow me to buy out something, possibly, maybe. Now, this army will almost certainly be attacked. I could assign the Wild Walkers hero to it. However, then this hero would be stuck over there for some time, which is not exactly the most optimal course of action, because I do need this hero to be working with industry in my cities. However, by having him defend my capital, it would be also much safer. So I think I will indeed have to do this. How much is this guy to leveling up? He is going to level up next 10. So this is good, because he will also gain the ability. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Where is the move ability? There was one somewhere, wasn't there? I think I may have mistaken the... Oh no, there it is. Functioning Insomniac. So this is a very nice ability that is particularly useful on Wild Walker's hero, partially because you can only get it on Wild Walker's hero. However, this ability allows you to lower the cooldown assignment, which is very important when we are playing as the Roving Clans and are using Wild Walker's heroes, which is basically all the time. Reason being, you can only create the high towers only create the high towers when you actually have a wild walkers hero inside your city. If I move this hero out of the city, which I'll do right now, and I send here, bam, and I can no longer create high towers as you can right now see. So this is very important so that your Wild Walker's hero does have the Insomniac ability at all times if at all possible, purely because it will allow you to reposition him to different cities whenever you need to do so. It will allow you much more mobility, and it will allow you to diversify your actions a bit more as well. Now, something I forgot to do, but I actually intended to do, is to equip this guy with a Sustainer longbow. However, right now he's no longer in my area, so I can no longer do this. I wanted to do this when I still had this here unsigned, but I unassigned him too quickly. Oh well, not a very big deal, I have to be entirely honest. Now, of course, without this hero in my city, it would take me much longer to create the dervish units. However, it doesn't matter too much because obviously I'm walking in the dust. Now, as you can see, I am moving my primary city, which means that I, technically speaking, do not have a Founders Memorial or a palace in my entire empire, which allows me to create those two structures. And while Founders Memorial does take industry, palace can be made immediately. It does give you a nice boost of dust, and it also increases the militia. You know how it works, I just discussed this. However, I do want this palace to be in my city that I'm going to place in this particular region. So for this particular reason, I'm obviously not going to do that very thing. Now, if I had to settle the city down, I'm pretty sure it should still have the palace on it. So it is possible that there is a bug that would allow you to multiply the palace in your empire. I never tried to abuse it though, so I'm not sure. It is possible that if you recreate a palace while your original city of a palace is away, then maybe the palace in your original city will be destroyed or will not function or something. Or maybe you can duplicate it and abuse the system in this way. I didn't know, I haven't tried it yet. Alright, I think I can end the turn safely now. And I cannot discuss the comments just yet because, again, there are things I need to do and keep an eye on it. And a battle has been declared. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to avoid this. But what I can do is give my ability the functioning Insomniac ability already, which I will do gladly. Now, for some reason, this dervish is not being reinforced by the army that is standing right next to it, which is very annoying because this basically means that this dervish is now officially dead, despite the fact that I have a friendly army literally 2 steps away from the battlefield. I'm not entirely... That's a warning. Okay, that's okay. I'm not entirely sure why I do not gain any reinforcements in this scenario, but I figured it might have something to do with the positioning. I mean, the way my setup right now would work is that I would be able to set up in this area of the battlefield, and I guess that the game figures it's too far away from where my army actually is. But it's still a bit dumb, if I have to be entirely honest. It's okay though, it's okay. Now, can I possibly kill this Harmonite? With greater micromanagement and some luck involved as well, possibly a critical strike? Yeah, I could kill it. Do I bother enough? No, I don't. So, as you can see, now we both killed each other, which is very nice because the Harmonite will not bother me, which is, again, very nice. Now, I did receive a warning from the voters. This happens in several situations. For example, if you pacify a minor faction that is belonging to a tribe under the control of some other AI player, for example, if I had to pacify whatever minor faction is in this region, right here, then I would receive a warning because this would be seen as a hostile action against this AI, despite the fact that it would actually kind of benefit it as well. It doesn't matter actually how you pacify this faction right now, you would receive the warning regardless. However, you also receive warnings in some other instances. Right now, for example, I'm not sure. It is possible that the AI figured that I'm heading over to a region they want to colonize, so maybe this is why they sent me the warning, but I don't think the AI is this smart right now, so I have my doubts. Alright, on the next turn I'll gain extra population in this city. What I'll do after that is I'll immediately try and go for a settler and I'll send him right over here to this region. The reason why I'm doing this, again, beyond the fact that I want this region to be perfectly safe from the enemy invasion, is also because this region has a lot of lush green territory, so it is very easy to develop a big functioning city over here very quickly as well. And for that particular reason, it is a good idea to move your well-developed cities to a region that has less food, like this one, and then recolonize the regions that you originally colonized, like this one, because they have so much food in them. Which is exactly what I'm doing right now, as you can see. Alright, my population in Avnix has grown a bit, so that's good, and now I can start working on a cellar. Do I want to do this right away? It doesn't matter too much, because what I'm going to do is, as soon as the cellar is done, I'll try to reinforce him with the units that I have in this army. That's this single dervish I have right here. And because I have just killed the Harmonite in this region, I sincerely doubt that there will be a second one trying to kill me. So I think I'm fairly safe creating the settler right now, because I'll reinforce him with the army that I have ready. Now, he'll be ready in 4 turns. That's relatively slow, but fast enough for me and for my taste, so I can just go ahead and continue moving along. Now, I'm trying to go back to the subject of the war of text I received, and now I want to talk about the minor faction. So I have read about the absurdity that you can assimilate vine snakes and also equip your units with the road pillars or whatever this item is called. Let's have a quick check again how it's called. It is called the Roads of Dust, that's how it's called. And that plus combination of vine snakes plus all that equals insane amount of movement on your units, especially if you also have a hero that increases your army movement. Yeah, I get that. But I talked about this in the first episode a bit, and maybe I didn't talk enough about it. I do not think it is really something you should be going for. I honestly do not. Because do you need this much movement? Possibly if you are playing on a really big map, or if you really desperately are trying to launch a super quick surprise assault. Situations when you do that, at least in multiplayer, are very rare, however. And for that reason, I do not believe you need this movement speed, because why bother? Equipping this extra bit of item on your units does take quite a bit of industry, which you could be using to create more units faster and then sell them on the marketplace, which I believe is a more valuable option. At the same time, why increase your units movement even further with vine snakes? You do not need vine snakes as the Roving Clans, you really do not. Your units are already very fast. And vine snakes, while they are very good as a unit, and especially a defensible unit, Harmonites also do their job very well. Some might argue that still not as well because vine snakes are overpowered, but I personally think that Selects are really powerful as defenders, so I sincerely believe that Selects are better unit for Wild War. I mean, not better, but more or less the same, as good of a unit for Roving Clans as the vine snakes. However, the important thing is the anti-empire bonus. And by that I mean vine snakes give you extra movement speed, which as I said, I do not really believe you need. However, Selects give you extra resources, which you do need because you want to be able to sell them and buy them on the marketplace, which is immensely useful. And for that reason, I believe that when you have the option to go for vine snakes, if you have no other good alternatives, sure, go for them. However, in all other scenarios, it is better to go for Selects, in my honest opinion. This is why I said what I said in my previous videos. Alright, now that we've talked about this, I have apparently met the Delvers, which is strange because I've seen them before, but that's okay. I got the Rough Man, which pacified the Selects, which is very nice. It also gave me the Sparks of Fidaya, which is entirely useless right now, so that's okay. And now I have the entire view over what the Voiders are doing. So they do have 3 Marines, some of them are killers, which means that they have a lot of attack. I'm pretty sure they are using bows. Yes, indeed they are using bows. There's also a hero with another marine. So as you can see, the enemy Volters are indeed having quite a bit of armies on the side. The city, however, has only 3 population, which is very small, considering that I have 2 cities with 5 population, and even that I would consider fairly small for a 1036. It is entirely okay for the Roving Clans because they can make up for it and they do not need a lot of population necessarily, but still it is a fairly small amount for this late in the game, and I have no idea why those guys only have 3 population. Maybe they lost a seller or something. This is still very weird. And oh, I think there's a Broken Lord player nearby. Okay, we don't have to bother with him right now, but it's good to know. So this city, as you can see, it now has again its palace and its founders memorial rebuild, and I can no longer create it in this city. So I really am wondering if there is the possible option for abusing this mechanic right there. I'll have to talk about this to the devs, but I think they have taken care of it and it's not possible. And I disencourage you from trying it out for yourself because, you know, it's not nice to abuse a bug that there might be in the game. Alright, what do I want to do in this city? Well, first things first, I do want an empowerment, but what I want more than that are some dervish units. I do think that the enemy is fairly likely to attack me. They have a fairly big army, they have sent me a warning before. I think it's just moments before they attack me if they do plan to attack me, so I need to be ready. I also want to remove this unit, this dervish unit, and put it back into my city because, for the same reason. And I will use this here to accompany the seller if possible, if necessary. I do not think it will be necessary, however, because the enemy Hamad unit is already pacified, and I should be able to dodge anything else with the speed of the seller. I will of course accompany him with a hero, but that's probably everything that I will need. Heroes are after all very good at killing units. So let's move my hero around. I might in fact re-equip him with a better bow. Not necessarily the glass steel bow, I want to keep the glass steel I have, but I might give him either the wand, that's extra 2 initiative and a lot of critical, or that doesn't give me extra initiative. But he's got 10 initiative regardless, so I think I want the extra damage instead of the wand, so I will go for the bow. And I will also unequip him's defensible items, if I can. Can I? No, heroes have to have those items apparently, that's good to know. I could equip him with this thingy, which would give me extra life and also make sure that I do not lose any initiative on the head equipment, but I would rather not. So I'll just go for this particular build setup, and I'm fine with how we go right now. I can talk to the Seratan. In fact, I'll do it right now, see what kind of quest they want to give me. 15 gold if I enter Technology Area 2 quickly. Should be easily done, and 15 gold is very useful because I can trade it away, and I do not feel like I will lose a lot if the enemy buys it out. It is useful, especially for broker lords, for example, or even myself in fact, but I do like the fact that I can sell it on the marketplace. I'll think what I do with it, however. Now the enemy is moving in. I'm not liking the side of that. They are also going to settle over here. I will let them, as you can see now, they have only 2 population in the primary city, and this is the 3rd population. I could try and attack the seller. I'm tempted to do that, because I will not even have to declare war to do this. So let's go ahead and do this. I'll create the dervish right here. And I'm clearly fast enough to actually go ahead and attack the seller, which I will do. It will not require me to declare war on the enemy, and as you can see, I can clearly abuse the fact that the enemy sent his seller unprotected. So I just go for the auto battle and murder this innocent little seller, and now the enemy only has 2 population to work with, and they still do not have a 2nd city. They are going to die soon. Now, when I conquer them, and I will conquer them, I can guarantee you this, I'll have to face a choice. Will I burn down this city, or will I keep it? I'll think about it when I actually reach this kind of stage of the game. Right now, I don't think I'm there just yet. Anyway, let's finish this minor faction quest, or just minor quest in general. And I can easily go for auto battle again. I doubt there's any risk over here associated with this action. And I got the dish of Kanuk, which is actually a plate, not a shield, but whatever. Some weird lore in this game, but this is again just what happens in Endless Legend quite often. Now, can I reassign this hero? Yes, I can, because he's an insomniac. However, I don't necessarily want to do this. I'll accompany the settler, and then I'll put the Wild Walker's hero in this city to let it develop a bit faster, which is very important. Now, after the settler is done, I will finish the work on the dervish, but then I do want to create... This mouse doesn't want to listen to me. Why is that? Okay, hey, it really does not want to listen to me. I don't know what's going on. Is there maybe some hair inside of the laser scanner or something? I don't know. Now it feels better. Anyway, let's go for the Dust Dredger after I'm done with this dervish, because the dervish is almost done. And I do want some protector in my city, so I'll keep it. But then I'll go for the Dust Dredger, because there's plenty of river, as you can see nearby, so this will increase my dust again quite substantially, which is very important. As for this city, however, I sadly do not want my population to be spread out like so. It would be rather dumb, if you don't mind me saying this. So instead focus on the production a bit more, because I really want this extra dervish unit to be in my city as quickly as possible, because the odds of the enemy attacking me are really high. Now I'm also using 10 dust per 10, that's a result of me having 2 armies on the battlefield, and I'm not compensating for this too well, because I do not have an empowerment in my capital, and I do have 1 empowerment in my secondary city, but that's about it. So I'm right now losing a lot of dust per 10. I'm however fine with this. Sure, the loss of dust is fairly painful, however I can offset this fairly quickly, and I do need to have some extra armies fairly quickly. Otherwise I will be in fairly bad spot, so just dismiss that. And the Rumbler has attacked, and I do not want to have my seller as a reinforcement, thank you very much. And I will deal with this battle in a second. First things first, put this dervish inside my city. The enemy is moving around, I bet you that they will try to attack me and take over my city, that's fine though. And now let's have a quick look at this battle. If I were to auto-battle it, I'm pretty sure that I will lose. And hold on, technical difficulties. There we go, for some reason my headset almost unplugged again. No, I did unplug. What the... I don't know what's happening with my headset. It keeps unplugging itself lately. It never did it before. Maybe it's wearing off. Maybe it's too old. I don't know. It's not that old though. Anyway, 2 Ramblers against a Militia and a Hero. I should win this, but I do not trust the AI to win this for me. So I'm just going to go into ready fight and I'm going to fight this myself. And then I'll probably end this videocast as well, purely because it is recorded fairly late and I need it to be up as soon as possible. Fear not, however, next videocast will be up tomorrow, and it will again be the videocast for the Roving Clans as well, because I really feel like they deserve a bit more attention. So, my hero is going to stand where it's a he for crying out loud, where he stands right now. It's a good spot to be in, and he should still have the range. Never mind, he does not. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, that's me not actually bothering to look at the enemy unit. So I did not have the range to the enemy, but thankfully this guy was also mildly retarded and moved into a position where he could not attack my militia, which is good because now my militia can move in, get on the high ground, and also stun lock the enemy. By stun lock I mean the enemy will only be able to retaliate but will not be able to actually attack me, which is not really in any way useful in this scenario because the enemy is indeed not gaining anything from attacking me. Sure, those horses do have the sweep ability, but to use it in this particular scenario they would have to stand right here. And the odds of them doing this on their 10 right now are fairly low, and as you can see the enemy already killed my militia, so it doesn't matter too much. Alright, 1 Rambler has fallen, the other one should fall relatively quickly, but for some reason my hero is not actually retrofitted with a bow, instead she still has the crossbow plus shoot combo. Which is okay, all things considered, because this does give me some extra defense, which is fine by me. Also, I can move out of the range of the enemy, so I'll do just that. Sure, I'll sacrifice my high ground advantage. Can I move over there? Really? How? I don't know. Anyway, if I can really truly move over there, then I'll sacrifice my high ground advantage, but the enemy will also not be able to reach me and attack me on the same turn. So I'll do just that. And now I'll attack the enemy and make sure that I do not take any more unnecessary damage, which is by all means a fairly good thing if I can say so myself. So this will be the finishing blow, not yet, probably, nah, not yet. I'll need a critical to make it a finishing blow. The enemy is going to deal a bit more damage to me, that's okay, I have blocked so it will not be all that severe. Of course, sweep coming through, and the enemy actually survived this battle, surprisingly enough. That's okay though, I don't care too much, so my hero is fine, and the Rambler that did attack me is dead. The reinforcing Rambler is still there, but I don't care about that too much. And the Seller is now alive, so I'll go ahead and make the Seller move in over there. And I'll not assign a hero to the Seller, because then I wouldn't be able to reassign my hero to a city. Instead, my hero will follow the Seller closely and be right behind him. I think I can, so it will be fine if I wait for 1 more 10. I am very worried about the enemy moving in close to my city though. They might attack me every second, any second now, and this would be devastating. They would probably be able to take over my capital, and there isn't much I can do about it at this particular point in time. I will need the Kasai possibly, even though I do not necessarily want to rush the Kasai, but I will possibly need it. And I do really want to have extra resource generation so I can sell them on the marketplace. So let's go for something like this. Can I by any chance increase my odds of survival if the enemy does attack me on the next 10? Not really. I cannot buy out my Dervish, I cannot move in my hero or anything else. I do not have any more Dervish units. I do have one in this city, so what I could try and do is very quickly create an army and move it closer to this city. But if the enemy attacks me, which is very likely, there will not be much I can do. When we look at the White Walkers, you can see that they really do not like me, because they recently warned me, and yeah, they just don't like me. I could gratify them, I don't know if it would help, it would probably not help at all. I can close my borders, it doesn't cost too much. However, the enemy will simply declare war on me on the next 10 and ignore the closed borders completely, so I would rather not do that at all. Can I assimilate somebody useful? Not in any way, shape or form. So what I have to do is what I said I would do and try to create a new army as quickly as possible. So let's do that. New army, thank you very much. Move in as close as possible. Maybe it will be close enough, maybe not. And the enemy has declared war on me indeed. That was to be expected, but it is still mildly annoying. So, let us set up a city as I wanted to. Declaration of war is here. That was very obvious that it would happen. And now I can assimilate the selects, which I'll gladly do. Thank you very much, selects are now assimilated. Empire plan can now go through. And I will actually go for the military thingy, because there are 2 reasons. One, I am at war right now, and this would help me... Oh, crying aloud, I settled a city before going for the empire plan. It is okay though, it's not a big deal. I could also lift up my city as well. or just reload this autosave. I will not do this. It will cost me more influence, but this is really the only empire plan I need right now. I seriously do not think other things are necessary for me. And while it helps that I have to spend extra influence on this, it's not a big deal. So I will go for the lower the industry cost of units. Two reasons why. One, I'm in a war, I will need to create units as quickly as possible. Two, after the war I'll still want to create as many units as possible and sell them on the marketplace as slaves. Which would be quite wonderful, wouldn't you agree? So I want to do that. Alright, the enemy is moving in. Looks like they might try to attack two cities at the same time. But if I have to choose, I would rather keep Somriel and make the enemy capture Avnis, purely because Somriel is my capital, it does have my palace, and as such I want to make sure that it is as well protected as humanly possible. It does have two dervish in it as well, so it is okay-ish protected. Now this city has 2 population. You may be wondering, how does it have 2 population if I created a seller with just 1 population? And the answer is, well, I assimilated the Silex and they gave me this extra bit of population. That's how it works. So now what I want to do is go for the siege stretch as quickly as possible to start working on extra population and at the same time go for extra industry as well. I could also reverse this, and in fact, because I already have 2 population, I will do just that. I'll go for mill foundry first and then finish off the city storage. Alrighty then. Now, where do I place my hero? I will place my hero in Somriel because this is going to be a place where I expect I'll defend a bit better than in other areas, and as such this will be my last stand and the place where I defend. If I lose Avnis, so be it. I will not cry too much. It's a fairly well developed city. It would hurt to leave it to the enemy, but I should be able to recapture it very well with this city, with the city of this caliber like Somriel, which has a lot of production in its on its own. As you can see, I can create things very, very quickly over here. In fact, can I move some population to food production? In fact, I can. So I'll move 1 population to industry and then everything else to dust, so I can actually gain dust instead of lose dust. Before ending this videocast, one last thing I'm going to do is retrofit the Harmonite. So Harmonites, actually on the map, they are fairly fast. I mean, not fairly fast, but they're as fast as any other units. They have 4 movement speed. And I could, in fact I will, give them the rows of dust. Does it carry over to the battle? I don't know. I actually never tried to give in the select the rolls of dust, so this will be a little experiment that I'm going to do right now and see if it works or not. I seriously doubt it. However, I'm pretty sure it only works on the map screen instead of the battlefield, but it is still worth to check it out, don't you agree? So let's go ahead and do just that. Is there in case? And now, in terms of equipment, I want to give this guy as much defense as possible because, as you can see, no matter what, his initiative is fairly low. And let's actually leave the screen for a second. Check the enemy initiative because we can do that. This marine has 8 initiative and this marine has 8 initiative as well. Can I have a Harmonite with more initiative? The answer to that is no. Even if I do give him extra initiative, he still has 4 at the very maximum. So, since I cannot attack it before the enemy attacks, I do want to make sure that I'm as well protected against the range attacks as humanly possible. Now what I can do now is also choose what kind of thing I want to go for. So I can either go for the claw, which gives me quite a bit of... which gives me a bonus initiative as well as other things, but I would rather go for the battle hammer. Because yes, it lowers my initiative significantly, but it doesn't matter because I'll still have lower initiative than the enemy, and it also gives me more raw damage, which is exactly what I want. Now this guy costs a lot of industry to create, but he will be able to take some damage from the marines, and possibly allow my dervish to not be targeted, which would be very useful as well. Do I want to start creating one? Not yet. I do need to have those dervish up and running first, because they are very good at killing the marines. Anyway, I'll leave you at that. It was PANCZASU, also known as the Mighty Mix Spammer. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you online.